You are listening to the Beat Radio Bali,
You
the
are.
best classical jazz, indie, and electronic music on the island, 24/7.
So, being a internet radio station, you've gone international, mate.
Yeah, well, let's look how many people are actually listening.
It's universal.
Well, the possibilities are endless.
Possibilities are beyond endless, mate. They're infinite endlessness.
Yeah, I reckon. But I like that question about.
Yeah, so I was asking, how do you pin a relationship between electronic music and classical music, and do you think that
Is there a connection with electronic music? Yeah,
and your love for one?
I'm saying it's jumped from traditional classical music, jumps all the way to modern day electronic music. Probably because there's not much vocal involved, to begin with, and the whole structure and the length of it, goes on for hours.
I just had an image of just these old dudes 200 years ago, chewing their faces off with heads full.
Probably more
full
so
of shit, bouncing around, doing a 48-hour run in front of Beethoven.
Exactly.
No sleep till bedtime.
Yeah, that's right. If they only knew
Yeah.
how good it was.
They knew how good it was going to be.
They should have been. Anyway, it's a time machine. But anyway, what's the name of it? Above and Beyond. Above and Beyond.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They did incredible acoustic concerts.
That's right, and they use a lot of classical instruments in that. Same as trance music generally, and it was trance music that was the first electronic music that I really could understand.
Yeah, trance is actually the one that I was pulled to the most as well.
I think it's the most accessible, isn't it?
It was probably the whole time that I was involved in going out when I was working for the Beat with you was I was out on dance floors all the time, and it was always trance music. Oh yeah, mate,
Cutting quite a sight.
just cutting edge, cutting his teeth on the dance floor.
Watch out, ladies! Athron's in the room,
or on the floor, literally. Yeah, like that. That was the music that really got me. Like other genres of dance and electronic music, I appreciated it in different stages, but they didn't grab me. Like I've always came from a rock music and live band music sort of.
Well, I guess it's basically the same, except it's digital. Like, beats and, wind, sounds.
Still comes down to composition, yeah.
Competition.
Composition.
Competition.
Everything's a competition. God damn it.
It's definitely
Listen,
become
mate,
competition.
I'm winning. Right, just
some dude
get
that walks
behind.
Some dude that walks in with not even it used to be a case full of records, but now it's just like a USB stick.
Oh man,
versus
it's
a whole band.
Like the amount of shit that I have to carry when I go on tour or play overseas, or whatever, guitar and all the pedals and everything I use now. I've just with my band One Bomb Theory, we just started up again,
right? And
I'm just singing. Like we've got two guitarists now, and so the feeling of packing to go and do a rehearsal and just not carry anything, it's just so good. Because I've looked at DJs for so long, and the way they just rock up to a gig and just open up a little tiny, or just pull out of the coin pocket in their jeans, just flip out that little tiny USB stick.
Yeah,
like damn you,
unbelievable.
Yeah,
but I guess there is a lot of there's a lot of preparation involved in any form of entertainment.
If you want to be good at it, absolutely.
Yeah, for you're not just sort of walking up there with a stick and just plugging it in.
Yeah,
and off away it goes. But there's hours and hours of listening time, at least.
Yeah,
going into that stick.
Yeah, you've got
same as your musicianship is hours and hours of work as well, and talent. A different form of talent. Like your fingers go doodle-lip. I don't know.
That's how I've always described it. Sorry, babe, I've just got to head off and do a bit of doodle-lip.
Didn't quite get it right. You should practice that a little bit.
I can't even pronounce my own doodle-lips. I'm off track.
But you get my point, right? Like it's all, everyone. I know the live music scene versus the electronic scene, well, it's more the live music scene that seems to hate the DJs more than the DJs, don't even notice that live musicians are there.
But they steal all our shit. They grab all our riffs. They take all our hooks and they copy them.
Exactly. And our chicks.
They sample them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny old world, isn't it? But we're all facing it. It's going back to magazine world. Where the it used to be all so simple back then as well. But now, everyone can do it.
It's funny because it's like everything evolves so drastically. You feel like you're going through a period at one point when something's working well, and you think it's going to last forever. Like whether it's a genre of music or a style of performance or whatever the popular thing is at that time, and it's becoming the huge new thing. Like when rock bands were the big thing and they were filling all the pubs and every venue wanted a rock band. You think that's the whole new thing, and then but when it changes so quickly. Like when it changed from analog to digital, and there are people still holding.
What year do you think that was?
Analog to digital was like
in pubs.
Oh, in pubs.
In entertainment terms,
I guess it was early 2000s that you felt like just before the 2000 maybe it was already flipping over.
Yeah,
it's a bit hard to.
Meaning basically that it was more economical to have a.
Yeah, it's just funny how like you think something's going to last forever, and you see something new coming, and you might think, I don't know if everyone's going to gravitate towards that, and then next thing you know, everyone's changed to it, and anyone that tried to cling on to the old thing is just lost and dead and lost for dust. And it's not until you're older and you can remember all those phases that you feel like things change all the time, or that you sort of grieve the old things. But like for kids growing up now, they just grow into the new thing, and there's no to them CDs and especially cassettes are like gramophones were to us. It's crazy.
Oh, it's always changing, but now it seems to be changing so much more rapidly than ever, doesn't it? I watched a documentary on YouTube last night. It was about Facebook and how Facebook developed, and they were saying how about the photographs became so important, after they were already, a number of years into it. And I was thinking, oh, gee, that was the same as us when we were in the Beat magazine, because the photos were so important at the beginning.
Yeah, right.
and it became what the Beat magazine was known for.
Actually, I remember when we were doing that section in the Beat magazine called There Then.
Yeah. And
it was a lot of text about what happened on that night, the previous night. Like, we'd send the reporters out.
Show, yeah.
Yeah, and then I remember you saying, fuck it, just get rid of all the writing. Like, it's just, no one gives a shit about the writing anymore. Like, just put the photos with a one sentence.
Yeah.
Just who played, where was it? That's it. And it's funny.
And that's all people want.
It just downsizes and downsizes till just like.
To the photo. The photo is like it says 1,000 words and continues doing so till today.
Quote. You should write that down.
I think I should copyright it. But I was thinking, while I was watching that, I was thinking, oh, geez, I should have found some hotshot coder and, put all those photos online, which we were doing anyway, but, we're sort of half-cocked. But, and just sort of focused on right then.
Yeah.
Who knows what would have been
You always look back and wish, you always think, how did I not recognise where things were going? Like, why didn't I just jump in right at that beginning point and ride that wave?
Exactly, and that's all they did. They did,
Yeah, and a lot of artists and people that have broken the world basically with fame or with popularity.
Or change the world.
But a lot of them too have been people that, even if it was just by just giving it a shot and not really thinking it was going to work, they jumped on something right at the beginning before anyone knew it was going to be big, before they even knew it was going to be big. Like probably the first people to jump on YouTube and start a YouTube channel, no matter how menial whatever they were doing was, like whether it was collecting trains or whatever, they're probably like now the biggest channel for train collectors, because as soon as someone typed in those things, bang, up they come, and they were doing it before anyone even thought of it. That's right.
Well, YouTube, for example, which was bought by Google, and Instagram was bought by Facebook, and they're all, and they've only been at it till that point. They've only been at it to 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
it's not like they've been doing it all.
It's amazing
life.
how
it's just like they're straight in it, but they're educated in Harvard, and, in this this world of internet, so. They obviously had an advantage on it.
It's amazing how just how quickly people take over. Like one thing takes over whole global economy of one sort of popular thing, like
our
social
lives.
media and our lives. Like just the
But
fact that Facebook is the absolute dominator. I mean, TikTok was getting bigger than Facebook in one regard, but it's canned in the US now.
Well, it was Bill Gates, wasn't it?
Was it Gatesy? I mean, did
Gatesy-
he have enough time
Gatesy had a
between
go.
injecting children with adrenochrome, sucking the blood out of Hollywood children?
That's the most ridiculous stuff you could ever imagine, right?
Oh,
The
man.
way they go for Gatesy.
Oh, they love Gatesy. They love a Gatesy. It's the gateway. Bill Gates is literally a gateway drug for conspiracy
What's
theorists.
that thing? The London Dial or something?
London Reel.
London Reel.
Oh, Brian.
Oh.
Brian Jones. Is it Brian someone?
I thought that disappeared, but suddenly, two people in the last couple of days have been sending me this
Because
latest video or whatever.
Oh, yeah, you could see that coming, though. Like, it's such... The video that's just come out is, like, such a huge... all the conspiracy theorists were waiting for it because it was, like, a really well-made, really well put together... doesn't come across... When I say... No, I'm not saying that... I'm not saying that in the sense that I believe it's... got integrity. I'm saying
But it's
that
a well-made
I'm
video.
saying that that as far as watching a conspiracy theory video, I've been sent so many and like laughed immediately at the way it's filmed or the way they claim to have gotten their information, but it's done in a way that hooks you in and makes you. It sounds very legit, but the problem is when people listen to things. Well, this is just my opinion, but. When people listen to these things that sound really well made, like when they're really well made and they're really well
convincing.
they are so convinced just by that one bit of information, and they don't find the need to dig too much deeper. And if they do dig a little bit deeper, it's just a Google search, and like it's a few pages into Google.
Oh, everyone's an expert. Yeah,
everyone becomes an expert,
yeah,
and they've
amazing.
done their research.
but that
the
anti. I don't really want to buy into this, but the whole anti-vaccine argument. I just don't get because it's the only thing that's kept the population alive over the last century.
Well, there's
these vaccines.
It's funny when there's so much focus on the negative cases that have come through this.
How many of those?
There's always going to be negative cases from any kind of.
Nothing's
using
perfect.
anything for the first time, like car. I mean, you buy a car, you've got to tell your kid if you're going to drive this car, you have to know there's a risk. Like one in such and such people die of a car accident in this country, and it's going to happen. And so you have to, And I guess, especially with medicine, like if you're injecting a new medicine into someone's body, every single body is different in their makeup and the way they react to things.
When there's tuberculosis, cholera, smallpox, but whatever the list, as long as your arm, they were killing millions of people.
Yeah.
Now those millions of people aren't dying since, so you got to.
That's what always kind of cracks me up. There's this whole world of people that have been saved by vaccines that are completely ignored when it comes to people that are totally anti-vaccines. Yeah,
I personally think anti-vacciners are a bunch of nutters. If you can't see the reality of what good vaccines have done for humanity, you haven't got a valid.
Well, that's what cracks
vote,
me up. There's never. I just find that both sides now of the fence, people arguing in either direction go to such extremes to get their point across, and they end up, in my opinion, using the same methods as each other. Like they end up.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the same as what's happening in America with the Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah, just because
they're just both the same.
They use the exact same methods, and they're really nasty. Like whether they're taking like one sort of soundbite or one little bit of little catchphrase that someone said and twisting it, or taking a quote out of context from written word. It's just this constant battle of how to make the other person look bad without ever really looking at the intention behind the words they said, or having a broader understanding of the whole picture of the conversation. It's just this constant battle of like how to just bring the other person down negatively. And I find like, I've like everyone, I've been sent a million videos on all the conspiracy theories around Corona, but I just can't, so many of them, I just go, really? Like, just because it's an extreme angle that provides an answer in a time where we are longing for answers, and just because it's not mainstream media doesn't make it correct.
Yeah.
That's what cracks me up. And what amazes me is that if you disagree with it, it's presumed
let
that
down.
you must just follow mainstream media and the mainstream news networks, and that you're a total sheep
and
for doing
big
it.
pharma and everything else. You're just a sheep. Yeah.
Like, man, the words sheeple and woke, and like, if I hear one more person say "wake the fuck up," like, how has anyone ever learnt anything by having someone say to them "wake the fuck up"? Like, I've never ever, like, I've never heard. If you heard a parent trying to teach their child by saying "wake the fuck up," you would be absolutely outraged. You'd be like, how dare you talk to your child like that?
But this is some freak sitting in some room on his own. He's always on his own for the last 15 years, plugging away on his keyboard, hating everything, hating people.
It's almost like an angry expression of basically trying to get the point across that you know more than everyone else. And
to win. I got to be the winner. This is the chance for me to be the winner.
I mean, who reacts well to that kind of aggression?
The other person that wants to fight that, and be the winner.
I guess it's a way of building a tribe around you, right? Like you only want to associate with the other people that are saying "wake the fuck up."
So fanatical about it, and it seems to have tapered off a little bit, the animosity and everything over since maybe 2 months ago. And it seemed like any time you put a comment anywhere, you just be bombarded with an avalanche of hate or people agreeing with you as well, which doesn't happen that often in my case. But I've noticed it's come back again since Melbourne got locked down, but now those Melbourneites, and I know there's a number of those Melbourneites that used to live in Bali, and they're always mouthing off at how well Australia was handling it and everything. You don't hear so much from them anymore. How Bali was going to be the next spike of the end of everything, but it never really eventuated.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh? Like, it was really... It's been so strange to be here waiting for this massive, crazy pandemic outbreak, which I really thought would happen too, like, based on what was happening in other countries and how it spread, and based on Bali being a portal to all these different tourists. Just passing through. It blew my mind that time just kept going on and it just didn't turn into anything...
It makes you think really what it is, what this virus is, and how it mutates or changes from one climate to another or something. Yeah. I was sick this past week, and the first time I've been with a flu symptoms since before this pandemic. Right. So obviously you get a little bit worried. Yeah. When you're beforehand. Anytime I had a little tickle in the throat or anything, I go, oh shit. Yeah.
That first few weeks, isn't it funny? Like, you sneeze harder than usual, and you're like, no, what's happening? I'm changing.
Yeah. I've not got it.
Oh, man.
Watch out for the dudes in the, what do they call it, Hamzad suits.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's no way, as I was saying before, there's no way I'll go to a hospital and have a test.
Right. You don't trust the test at all.
I don't trust the test. I don't trust the rapid test. The swab test, maybe. But I prefer just to be isolation, which I did. I didn't really see anyone. And try to keep, there was a fever, which was definitely a part of the symptoms. But they're also symptoms of a normal flu.
Yeah, there's all the other viruses and all the other flus don't take a holiday because Corona's stepped in. I mean, how many times a year? We all usually get hit by a flu once or twice a year anyway. So, I mean, it causes more paranoia in your own mind when you get your general yearly flu. You just start freaking out. You're like, what's going on?
Well, imagine if you went down to the hospital and, suddenly you get this rapid test, which means basically you've got antibodies, and I'm sure I'd have the antibodies. I'm sure I've got a fever. They'll just bang you straight into a cell. Yeah. Like, I don't know what they'd do to you. I wouldn't want to risk it.
It's such a strange time, like those kinds of things when you start to fear the repercussions of doing a normal thing, like going to a hospital or walking down the street.
Yeah.
Without
a mask. In the end, I just messaged my doctor, and who fortunately I've got the number, the WhatsApp number. I said, look, I've got this and this. What do you reckon I should do? I said, I'll just take lots of Panadol. Right. I went, okay, I'll do that, and it fixed me up. voila.
There you go. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
But it could be, you end up, if you go down to a place like bloody Ceylon or something, end up coming out with a 100 million rupee bill.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's the other thing.
the same thing.
I mean, nobody's going to not take advantage. Like, the world is made up of companies that take advantage of every single situation to gain more profit. And it's certainly no different in this case. And, like, especially in a time when people are suffering more financially, they're going to be... You'd think that you'd want bigger companies to be more lenient based on the fact that people are poorer, but then they themselves are losing profit margins, so then they do whatever they can to just ream you. So imagine how many people are just getting reamed from just the medical expenses and the medical side of this whole thing.
There's all sorts of stories too about the hospitals paying off client, the patients or people that come in to get the tests, and they split the money. They split the money what the government pays them for a positive case.
Right.
Which I wouldn't doubt at all.
I wouldn't doubt it at all. I mean, when these things absolutely happen, people want cash.
But meanwhile, you must be, you're a professional musician, and there's not much gigging going on. That must be pretty hard for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange juxtaposition for me, because on one hand, there's been this, because there hasn't been a health pandemic here and it hasn't been sort of damaging in that sense, it's been really nice to be in a quiet Bali with a lot of downtime and to sort of be forced to just go, okay, well, I'm just going to focus on my creativity and my original music and writing a new album and all these different things that I'm working on, and not have to even think about the work side of things, which takes another whole chunk of your energy and time away. But of course, financially, it's crushing, and you're just left going, oh my God, like your fingernails is digging into the side of the cliff going, how long is this going to last, and can I last?
Yeah, it's all good fun and, great place to be, but how long can you survive?
Yeah.
What is there some point you have to go somewhere? Well, do you have a home?
It's called your couch, mate. I think
I've got a bit of space at the back.
One of your dogs is going to go missing, and I'll be in that spot. I guess everyone has to adjust, and my adjustment is I've looked into another viable source of income, which is video editing. So I've gone hardcore on teaching myself video editing and a type and a style of music video editing that is becoming more my symbol, like my look.
That's kind of animated.
I do like a bit of an animated. I take real footage and I mess with it, and then I animate it so it moves and tells a story in the way that I want it to. So because I've been doing a lot of that, I'm now starting to get some video editing jobs, which is great. Like they've just started coming in, which is it's just kind of the bridge for me of like from panic stage to like okay, this is going to help. This is going to get me through.
And it pays money. Decent money.
It definitely pays more money than Spotify. Yeah. So things like, I think a lot of people are having to look at other avenues, and for some people it's really satisfying because it forces them to do something they never would have done before. I really enjoy the video editing and the result of having a new craft. But then, of course, it's really devastating as well for so many people who are just not able, who have lost their jobs and not able to continue what they love doing.
Well, that's one of the things I've enjoyed about this whole period too, is that it's like you had to stop, and then reevaluate everything, And I, to be honest, and I've said it a couple of times since, that over the last year or so, I was just totally bored with what was going on.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
just always the grind, the same old thing.
It's funny, hey, how like It's funny when you live in Bali and you have a lifestyle that involves being here constantly. It's all, from an outside perspective, it's always looked at as the perfect lifestyle because you're Oh mate, let's get the photo up.
Not sure about my hair.
It's a bit blurry.
Not sure about my hair.
But yeah, there's always a point of view for anyone within any situation, and things. Also, here I find that because there's no sense of four seasons. Things it can become like it's just everything is constantly the same because the temperature doesn't change. And if you're constantly doing the same kind of work, it sort of starts to get to a point, no matter how good it is, where you start going, I need a shake up, I need something new, I need something different because I'm not being challenged or I'm not. Yeah.
Well, that was after 20 years of doing, the Beat magazine. I guess it was a time. It was a time perhaps to have a shake up. I don't know about doing something new, but definitely.
I don't know about doing something new, mate. Whoa, Nelly, calm down, bro.
Well, it's when something's been part of your life for so long, it's hard to imagine, just sort of breaking the chains.
What's happening with the Beat magazine now?
Yeah. Well, maybe there's no choice in the matter. I haven't printed since March.
Right. Okay. So
since Nightlife died.
Okay. So the whole print has stopped. You didn't sort of drop the print number down. You just went, oh, you know what? It's not.
Well, when they closed Nightlife, it was all over. We didn't have anywhere to go at that point. There was nowhere to move. Yeah, magazines, which is already, so old school, isn't it? I'm sure there won't be many magazines left after this pandemic, put it that way, because everything is not just that, just everything is going to this online world.
Everything's flipping to digital, and then right in the crux of that, everything stops and there's nothing to talk about at all. Like, the only thing anyone can report on or talk about is COVID. Yeah. And who wants to pick up a magazine called COVID?
And then I was heavily involved in the Seminyak Times at that time. I mean, there was so many stories about COVID. It was just like, and it was kind of weird because I suddenly picked up all these advertisers on there, and then there was this backlash from somebody that was handling one of the advertisers' accounts saying, "Oh, you're dealing with these people that are just spreading all this bad news about COVID." And I go, "Shit, what's not exactly bad news? It's just news." Yeah,
that's the problem now. Like, it doesn't matter what information you pass on, someone will say it's fake.
Oh yeah.
Like, so as a news outlet, you almost you can never win because there's.
That's right. All you can do is just you can post exactly what's happening, and as far as you can see it, anyway.
Yeah.
As far as it's reported, and that's all you can do, and that's called news. But the fake news end of the market. Seems like now you can say just about anything you want. As you were saying before about that London Reel. As long as it's packaged well, everybody will believe it.
You get an audience,
And I'm surprised that there was 2 or 3 people who just suddenly popped out with this stuff again today.
Yeah,
it's
going mental now. I mean, I guess the strange flip side to whether or not you believe that movie is real information or well researched or legitimate.
Anyway, so let's go back here, check it out. Yeah, we're back. We're back where we belong. Hopefully the music's gone. Apparently we're having some trouble.
Fill us in. Just throw rocks at the window.
If anybody is listening out there, you're never too sure.
I'm listening, mate. I'm listening to you.
Please,
we all need a listener.
Please tell us if everything's going right or wrong.
Throw a rock at the window if you can hear us now.
Challenging times. I think that's the way that London real guy would start a conversation.
Challenging times, but I'm your army leader. I'm your army leader.
Send your donations before you speak.
If you could just crowdfund my entire existence with as many millions as possible, so that I can create something worth about $10.
Well, you wouldn't want to be cynical, would you? I did actually. Another show I watched on YouTube last night. I began watching. It was this thing called in brackets Well. Which is a documentary series on the wellness
health system or the food health system.
Yeah, wellness kind of industry.
Right.
And the first one was about essential oils. whether they're real or not, or how many people are making shitloads of money out of that thing, billions of dollars. And then the next one is about tantra healing, tantra sex, which is, according to these people on the show, and it's been kidnapped by the Western world as some sort of sexual practice, whereas originally it was a lot more than
lifestyle.
a lot more than just sex.
More of a holistic.
So now it's like tantra, healing. It comes, you go for a weekend away, have some amazing sex, and it costs you $2,000. You have multiple orgasms. What would you want?
It's like a brothel for couples, but you spend more.
Yeah, legitimate.
A legitimate brothel for couples where you spend all your money and you feel good about it.
Yeah, and that's the case, isn't it?
It's funny, hey, like there's so many of these industries that, where I guess anything that seems like it may work, like whether it's the energy healing nature of a crystal or the power of a plant, or there's just so many things that you're not able to measure it, but there are people that say that they feel the effects and that they've lived by, and grown healthier by the effects, or had major life changes due to the effects of something, and then due to that a company will kind of bottle it, sell it.
Oh, for sure.
Turn it into a very sort of two-dimensional plastic giveaway sort of thing.
Yeah, just recently, I will give them credit, because I think I did feel better for it. But these essential oil sort of drops, which you drink, and with some water, but also the terms where you shouldn't drink drink alcohol, shouldn't drink coffee. Should I don't know what other things that were very healthy anyway. So it makes you think, well, maybe just doing that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
With it, let alone the little drops you put in the water.
Yeah, there's so many varying ingredients to making yourself feel better about anything, and like every human being is so insanely different in regards to all the factors that contribute to their current mental state. All the factors and ingredients that can contribute to their health state. And then someone will always offer an answer with one thing. Like, you take this one thing and you'll feel 100% better in this department. And people jump on it. But, that...
Have you tried any of those? Any particular one?
I'm sure I have. I've tried...
I remember
I've tried
those...
hundreds of them over the years for my restless leg syndrome, with that issue, yeah.
And any... Well, you have success from kratom.
Yeah,
right?
kratom's sort of one of those big things that for me is an incredibly valuable plant, but it's one of the examples to me that says, okay, is it big pharma or whatever, or the taxation or government taxation systems that don't want a particular thing to work because it works too well and it pulls people away from the things that make more money? Because I know America is basically pushing Indonesia to ban the use of kratom and the sale of kratom, because Indonesia is the biggest exporter of kratom.
And it grows wild or something?
Well, it's farmed, but there's huge, there's massive kratom plantations in mainly Borneo, and that's where I buy it. I buy it direct from the farmer, and it's sold in a lot of states in America in just tobacco stores. But it's incredibly expensive there. It'll cost $30 for 100 grams, and I get it direct from the farmer for 100 gram. A kilo costs me about $10. So it's like crazy price difference. It's incredible.
Well, maybe you should be doing that.
Yeah. But I know they're going to ban it here soon. They're looking to make it illegal by 2022 in Indonesia, which is freaking me out.
For what reason is it? Only because of the US pressure.
Well, I've heard that it's... Well, I've read the reports, I don't know, I can't even say who is speaking or whatever, but there's been these discussion groups where the lobby groups that have basically forced it to become illegal. I've read some of the statements that were made by the drug bureau here, saying, kratom is an incredibly dangerous drug, and that it's so easy to be addicted and so easy to overdose, but all the list of things they said that were negative effects of kratom. I'm just reading it, going, what? This it's I know.
And what benefits? What positive benefits does it give, in your opinion?
It's great for anxiety. It's great for pain relief. It's great for getting to sleep if you have problems with sleeping. All those things have been a massive benefit to my life. Like, it helped with my anxiety during the day, and then the biggest thing for me is that I've had restless leg syndrome extremely since I was a kid, getting worse and worse every year, and to the point where I've had to evacuate myself to Bangkok to get seen by a neurologist because I was like not sleeping for months, and that's been the biggest. That's probably the hardest thing I've ever dealt with on a long-term scale in my life, is lack of sleep due to restless leg syndrome, and the frustration that goes with that, and that literally pushes you into a suicidal state of mind, because when you don't sleep every night, and every night you want to fall asleep, and something is just aggravating your body, and you're not letting you sleep,
you don't sleep, or is it in your imagination you don't sleep?
You drift in and out of light moments of sleep and just constantly get woken up. So it's literally like, it got so bad for me that this thing started to happen where as I fell asleep, that millisecond that my mind started to shut off, I would get this shooting pain in my lower spine, like as though someone prodded me with a taser, and it would shoot through my body, and then my restless legs would go crazy, and I'd actually jerk awake. That's when it was really bad. But yeah, the first thing in my life that I've found that has helped me sleep is kratom. And first of all, I literally feel it wash through my body. And it's an opiate. You have to be aware that it's an opiate and you don't want to abuse it. But it's literally just a ground up leaf, so it's not a pharmaceutical concoction.
And that's like a tea.
You just get it. You get the powder, and you can take it however you want. It's really acidic and not a nice taste at all. So, the foul taste turns a lot of people off it. But I just I make smoothies with it now. I've worked out how to make a really nice banana smoothie with kratom in it, or you just there's all different ways you can take it, so you disguise the taste.
I remember I tried it once, and just by chance it happened to be New Year's Eve.
Yeah, right. So you probably did a quadruple dose,
and
just 'cause it was New Year's Eve.
And I kind of someone gave me two. There's a green and a red one, right?
Yeah, there's green, red, yellow, white, and
something.
A bunch of other strings.
I can't remember. Still can't remember which one's which. So I took. I think it was the red one,
right?
And a bunch of it.
Yeah.
And which basically is a downer.
Well, it's
or is it the green? I'm not
no.
sure
Well, the thing with opiates is opiates are uppers and downers in the same thing. It's an upper for a small dose, and then as soon as your body hits a certain peak and you have too much, it becomes a downer. And it's, kratom shouldn't be just thrown. The first time I did it, the same thing. I just took a shitload because I thought
it collapsed.
Yeah, I was down at Sky. It's a funny story. So I was down at Sky.
I was at Sky Garden too.
Oh, really? When you did
on the New Year's Eve?
Oh, really?
Whatever that was, a few years ago.
Oh, no way! Yeah, I knew someone that was working down there, and they said they took
same dudes.
Probably the same guy, and he took white kratom to get him through night, because that's more of a caffeine upper,
right?
And he was trying to convince myself and Davo to go down there, and we were like, man, we're not going to Sky Garden. It's been years since we're going to Sky. I'm like, don't want another mad weird coup tonight. And he goes, I've got this drug, kratom, you've got to try it. And we were pretty convinced. We were pretty easily convinced. When someone offers a new drug into my life, I'm like, oh, give it a shot. Let's go. So we went down there, and because he was excited to show us it, he just gave us these huge doses of it, which immediately hit me, and I went flying up. Whoa, this stuff's fucking great. He goes, you want some more? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And gives me another glass. But kratom, if you have a little bit.
Oh, you had 2 glasses.
He gave me a huge glass.
Oh, right,
of
this
it.
is when you went too far.
Yeah, he had a huge glass of it, did that up within 10 minutes, and then he's like, do you want more? I'm like, of course I want more. I feel great. This is awesome. Let's make more great. I want more great.
As you do.
Yeah, and then had another massive thing. And then Davo and I go out, and we're with this huge table of people, and Davo is just starting to rock back and forth going, man, I'm really sweating a lot. I feel really weird. And I'm like, dude, you always sweat a lot. You creepy beast. Like, settle down.
Especially in Skyguard.
Yeah. And then he goes, no, I'm really sweating a lot. I'm like, yeah. And then I remember I took one drag on a cigarette and just went, oh shit, the whole makeup of my body changed. And I bolted to the bathroom. And like, as I was opening the door, just like, exorcism projectile vomited, like my head spun 360, like just filled that whole bathroom with fucking vile excrement, and then ended up like on the ground of the toilet, just hugging the toilet while going, why? And I think
I walked in after you.
You probably did. Yeah, and then like eventually dragged myself back to the table. And it has this weird effect. Like, the guy gave us way too much. You should never take that much kratom. It's like anything. It's like giving someone the first time they've ever had alcohol and telling them to scull a bottle of whiskey. I mean, it's fucking stupid. Yeah. But yeah, so like, I was sitting back, and the other effect of it was that I couldn't keep my eyes open. You don't feel tired, like sleepy tired, but you can't keep your eyes open because you've just taken too much of an opiate. And I remember this guy came up that had given it to us, and he said, there's this gorgeous girl, I really want to talk to her, but she's got a friend, and I'm a bit nervous, can you come and wingman me? And he goes, man, a friend's absolutely smoking, like, you're going to love it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't back down when someone's telling me to come and wingman them, and the girl they want me to wing. Usually the wingman's girl, not so awesome, because like they're going for gold, and then they've got some friend that they know that you're not going to like the friend, but they're like, this is your job as a wingman. That's what a wingman does. You have to fucking man up. But I rocked up, and there was the most unbelievable, stunning Korean girl. She had. I think she'd obviously bleached her hair, but she looked like a Barbie doll. Incredible looking, like stepped straight out of a massive billboard. And he's talking to the other girl, and I'm trying to talk to her, and I literally looked like some smack junkie that had been scraped off the gutter at the back of some New York subway. I'm looking at her, trying to make sense. Yes, as my eyes were literally closing right down over my kneecaps. I just remember this girl just looking me up and down and looking back at her friend and going, what the fuck is this? And as soon as she called me a this, I was like, I'm out.
So you literally said that?
I'm done. That's it. That was it. I'm out. I'm bailing. That's it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I had to get thrown in a cab, and I said to friend, you got to put me in a cab and get me the fuck home because this shit's evil.
Did you sleep well that night?
Okay, so, now I've just given it the worst rap in history after trying to praise it. But the point is, I didn't want to ever touch it again after that, and then I found it was good for restless leg syndrome. And yeah, if you...
How? You slept well that night?
I slept insanely well. Like, incredible. So now...
Like a log.
Yeah, so if you know your dose...
But did you realise that at the time?
No, I didn't. No, not at all. So then I just never wanted to touch it again. I thought it was just a weird drug, and I didn't know what the doses were. I just knew that I had felt disgusting. But then, I read more about it and realised it had all these different qualities, and you've just got to measure your dose. Like anything, it's just, you've got to know what you're doing. But it's also one of those things, like, if you take too much, you feel sick. So it's like booze. You kind of get to a point where you're like, well, I won't take any more. Like, I'm not going to keep taking it. Anyway, that's my kratom.
So you're taking this kratom every single night? Do you have to do that to sleep? Or is it something that builds up?
No, I take it. I have to, because every single night I get restless leg syndrome. So even on a night where I think, or I'll forget to take kratom, and I'll go to bed, and then I'll start to fall asleep, and then I'll feel the restless legs start to kick in, and I'll go, oh man, okay. And I'll go and take some.
And restless legs is quite a rare condition, right? There's not that many people that...
Yeah, it's like, it affects, I think, 2% of the population or something, and then in that, I'm scratching at my memory of what the percentage is, but I think it's like 2% of people get it, and then within that 2%, most of them it's really mild, and it's an occasional thing. So a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I get that occasionally, that feeling of restlessness in my legs, but then you get
where it's a real condition,
insane extremity, and and my case, like when I was in Australia, I went and saw I saw that they were doing a big study on it. There was a convention on it, and I went and saw the doctors at that convention. And based on all my symptoms, they said that I had one of the worst cases they'd ever seen. So
thanks so much.
That was comforting.
And how long ago was that?
When I asked what the cure was, they said, "Well, there isn't one." And
thanks for coming. Leave $100 there.
Do you have any other information that could possibly help me? No, we don't. Go now and hurt yourself. Over and over. Yeah.
Go now and get over it.
Yeah, go now and chop those fucking legs off. Yeah, so that was years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So have you been back in contact with them with this new information you got?
No, I mean it was so long ago. I've joined some Restless Legs groups through Facebook and all that because I really want people to know that Kratom is such an amazing answer to it. But unfortunately, because Kratom has a lot of negative connotations because it's being banned and the big pharma is against it, and it's just natural. Like there's a lot of bad media on it, and so as soon as I put a comment in a Facebook group that says, "Hey guys, I've had extreme restless legs for years and it's almost killed me, and this stuff saved my life in terms of it allows me to sleep," which is more important than anything. I get a lot of feet cut back from people that just start posting like, "Oh, Kratom's a drug and it's highly addictive," and you're like, "Okay, well, calm down."
But have they? So there's not much research being done on it then, because if it's such a small amount of people that are affected, I guess they're not going to be.
Restless leg syndrome. Yeah, like for years I would go to doctors and they wouldn't have a clue what I was talking about. Like I got so frustrated that I'd say to the doctor, I'd ask them first, "Do you know much about it?" And if they looked at all not sure, I'd go, "Look, let's just leave it because I know more than you."
Right.
And at the time, I was always just trying to get Valium or something so I could sleep. But
so, what else is Kratom good for? That people say.
Yeah, I mean,
any other conditions like life-threatening conditions?
I wouldn't want to claim that it was good for life-threatening conditions, but I know, but like definitely anxiety and any kind of
cancers or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No,
I wouldn't claim. I mean, I could claim that. Starting a Kratom company, it cures cancer.
Why wouldn't you?
Just call me. Call me, I'll sort you out. Cure your cancer. No, I mean, I don't think it's a miracle drug in terms of curing particular illnesses or anything like that. But it's an opiate, so it allows you to get over, like, it stops major anxiety, it stops major depression, like, just allows you to, and you still think really clearly on it. It's not like a marijuana.
They use opiates in a lot of medicine, right? Surgery and
well, it's used
pain relief
a lot. Well, one thing it's a cure for is addiction to things like heroin and opium and things like that. A lot of people use it to get off. Well, alcoholism too. Kratom, yeah. Where
would they use that to get off it? Like in Australia or in the West?
It was a huge gateway to getting off opium in Thailand, and apparently that's why it was made illegal in Thailand because they were losing money on the opium trade. Yeah, because people were converting to Kratom to get off it, and a lot of people have used Kratom. Yeah, I mean it's Australian, or it's banned in Australia, but a lot of people who want to get off heavy drugs that the hospitals are giving them when they're coming out of hospital, and a lot of people are addicted to methadone and other drugs when they're coming out of hospitals in Australia, and they've been secretly, getting Kratom sent to them because it's such a soft drug in terms of, like, compared to those sorts of drugs, and it's a good gateway to just getting off things. And
it's they make it only in Indonesia, or is it available also all over Southeast Asia?
Yeah, it's through Southeast Asia. There's Thai Kratom and Thai Indonesian are the two big ones.
Well, I've been looking for a new concept for my restaurant. Maybe it should be Kratom.
I've been looking at doing it. Like, because man, I make a great Krat smoothie, Krat biscuits, there's all different stuff you can do with it. And if you do it right,
is it illegal in this country?
Well, that's
not yet.
That's the issue. They're pushing to make it illegal. So,
is anybody actually doing what you're saying?
I've seen
making all the
sent me
juices and whatever.
Well, I've talked about it for a while, and setting up even a Krat cart where, like, you do smoothies or whatever, Krat drinks.
Right.
In New York, when I was there last, I found all these Krat bars. There were Kratom bars
In New York.
In New York, where there's no alcohol, they just sell Kratom drinks and like Kratom teas and kava.
Right.
And the funny thing,
very exotic.
yeah, the funny thing was like they were really busy. Like customers, the regular customers, like love it, and it's so much safer than drinking. Like, you know, in terms, it's so funny when you compare stuff to alcohol. People have a negative connotation towards anything that's kind of a new drug or whatever, but then you compare it to alcohol and you're like, what the fuck are you so accepting of alcohol? Look what it does to people. But these bars, Kratom bars, were pretty full. Lots of customers, but they were still just serving it really basically, like just with hot water, and it doesn't taste very nice. There's so many ways you can do it.
Well, maybe you should do that.
Yeah.
You know, over there in near Crack House, we're doing the Crack restaurant.
Mate, the Crack restaurant. I'm keen, mate. Load it up.
That's amazing. Do people use it like a narcotic, like getting high and stuff as well in those bars?
Sure. Sure. I mean, it's a light high, so like it's much more mild than smoking a joint or having a couple of glasses of wine. I mean, you can have enough that you sort of it doesn't really mess with your head. That's the thing. It's a body kind of thing, so it just makes you more sort of relaxed, and it's like you're in a little bit of a cocoon.
Like an opiate, really.
Yeah, basically, like it's an opiate.
It's not like a MDMA type thing.
No, I mean you can still feel a little bit euphoric if when you have it. But I mean, if you're doing like, say, I'm doing video editing and I have some white crack, which is like it's related to the caffeine plant. So white crack gives you a little bit of an upper buzz, like you've had a couple of strong coffees, and a little bit of a cocoony kind of opiate warmth to it, and you'll work so efficiently because it just stops you being distracted. Like I find it. I mean, I was on heavy antidepressants when I was 20, and they were so, like, for me they were incredibly strong to help me with my depression, but then they just dumbed me down to such an incredible level that I really felt slower and less coherent, and I felt like all the benefits of thinking too much were lost as well. Like you think too much when you're depressed, and you think you've got all these voices in your head that are sort of putting yourself down and re-evaluating what you're doing all the time, and making you overthink things. But at the same time, you've also got a lot of creativity that comes out of thinking too much. And the antidepressants I found just killed everything, and I was just like a dead fish. But I find with Kratom, if I'm feeling anxious or depressed, it takes away that self-loathing or whatever that is that causes that, but it still allows you to think. I still feel open and free to think, and I don't feel like I lose myself at all in it. It doesn't feel like a pharmaceutical drug that's changing the way I feel and think.
So it doesn't just send you off to sleep either.
No, only if I have it at night when I'm already due for sleep. Yeah. Yeah. No, anyway, that's definitely done it. This is Krat Hour, brought to you by Athron and DJ Stu Krat.
DJ Krat.
Oh mate, you'd think we were sponsored by the farmers up in Borneo.
What was the music you were talking about before?
Oh, a band called Polo and Pan.
Yeah, Polo and Pan.
And then go to a track called Bakara. Let's play the peeps that. It's pretty cool.
Canope?
It's about 5 down there, yeah.
Bakara.
That's a great track.
Okay, this is Polo and Pan. Bakara, you're on the Beat Radio Bali.
Just wait for the subtle drop. It's beautiful.
Let's see what happens. I feel very Kratom.
I should have brought some with me. Oh, yeah. You
are listening to the Beats Radio Bali.
Mate, you get sexier every time you say that. Your voice goes deeper.
Wait, I've got something to say. The best classical, jazz, indie, and electronic music on the island.
When I grow up, I want to be able to say jazz like you say jazz.
24/7.
Jazz.
And we're talking to Athron.
Oh, yeah. Super
Athron was once
70s.
The editor of the Beat magazine. And as we all know, I've been involved in the Beat magazine for 20 years. How long were you involved in the Beat magazine, Athron?
2 laps of the sun. That was 2 years.
Jeez, that's That's 1/10.
Yeah, it took about 13 years of my life off me. but it was apparently in Earth human years, it was 2.
I'm sure it was a load of fun.
24 months. It was very, very awesome.
But no more fun than what you're about to tell us about. This is an experience you had in a far distant land.
We've just been discussing all these new... We're going off the Kratom conversation, which was an extended Krat chat. We went into the topic of microdosing and all the new studies on psychedelics, which is absolutely phenomenal. There's a documentary you should watch called Fantastic Fungi.
Yep.
It's incredible. It's a really good look into not just psychedelic mushrooms, but like mushrooms and fungi in general, and how it works and how it communicates with each other, and just as an organism, how fascinating it is.
Mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms. It's incredible because it gives you, the documentary even gives you this sort of better understanding of and sort of better acceptance of the idea of life and death, and that death actually is the reproduction of life. And when you look at fungi and mushrooms and how they break down anything that dies, they break it down and then they bring new life back into the earth through that fungi, through the growth,
through the decay,
and then the growth that comes out of that.
Yeah.
And then the spores that then it's an incredible cycle. It's
very natural.
Yeah, exactly. And so with that, it goes into psychedelic mushrooms and how taking psychedelics and taking these mushrooms brings people into a much more empathetic mindset of how they relate to not only nature and other humans, but how they relate to their own cycle of life and death, and how many people who have been faced with an illness, cancer or whatever, where they know they're going to pass.
Terminal.
That's the word I was looking for. With a terminal illness, and who have been highly stressed about that, obviously, who have taken psychedelics have gone into a place where they have a better understanding of their place, and they're passing on, and they feel more relaxed and more accepting of their of that sort of that bridge from one phase to the next.
I can recall having, experimented with mushrooms over the years, and it was only very recently that they became illegal here in Bali, only because some celebrity got all messed up and smashed into...
Such a shame.
Yeah.
There's such
jumped off... I don't know whether they jumped off a balcony or ran into people with a car or something. I don't know.
Okay.
And it became a big scandal in the press, and then next minute they decided to illegalize, decriminalize. What is it? Illegalize.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's just a magical... It's an incredible natural thing to be able to take and to go on this. They have so many healing properties. Whether you're microdosing it or whether you're actually putting yourself into going through a full trip.
So what was your? Recently you told me you got delved back into this whole world.
Well,
how did that happen?
I've been microdosing because I've been reading all this information on how.
What is microdosing?
Microdosing is taking a very small, like a tenth of a hit of a psychedelic, in order to... It pushes your brain to basically use different pathways and different... your non-conventional methods. And as we grow older, we just basically wear our brain down into constantly using the same pathways because we get set in our ways and we form patterns, right? And it's like anything. It's like driving to work every day. You're just going to keep driving on the same path to work, and even if it jams up, the traffic jams up every day, you're a little bit too cautious to try another shortcut because you might be later to work. But it's taking your psychedelic is almost like suddenly passing a GPS system down to that car, and all of a sudden just the world opens up and you're using these different pathways to get to work, and you realize they're faster and they're cleaner and they're better. You're not caught in a traffic jam every day. Sort of a layman's explanation of it, but like an example is like some of the healing results of taking psychedelics, of things like the guy that did the documentary, Paul Stamets, he's a leading expert on mushrooms. And he had an incredibly full-on stutter growing up. Like he couldn't get a sentence out without stuttering. And when he was about 16 or 17 or something, he had a massive hit of he had a huge hit of mushrooms, and climbed up this tree and was just gripping this tree while a storm passed over, and he was tripping balls. But the whole time he was tripping, he just kept saying over and over to himself, "I will never stutter again. I will never stutter again." And whatever happened in that experience, his brain just found new pathways to be able to bring his voice back, and he never stuttered again from that day forth. And he had years of speech therapy that didn't work. And so anyway, yeah, I'm quite fascinated by it. And
what benefits for you did you find after using your micro?
Well, microdosing is apparently helps because it opens up these other pathways for learning and all that kind of stuff. It helps with learning instruments or all sorts of things. Like there's a lot of the coders now in San Francisco are like all microdosing LSD to get better at coding, because it sort of pushes you to think in ways you don't normally think. I mean, I've had some.
Do you get high on these microdoses?
Not on a microdose, you don't get high. If you're getting high, you're taking too much.
Right.
So it's a really harmless, tiny amount to just that you notice over time makes you feel a bit better. I've noticed when I'm microdosing, I just through the day, a number of times I'll think, wow, I just really feel good about being alive. Like, I feel like I'll look at something and appreciate the colours of it more or whatever. But yeah, it also, I mean, I had I had a crazy full-on trip not so long ago, which was pretty...
Was that a macro dose?
It was definitely a over microdose. Basically, I was at a party. I hadn't done psychedelics. This was sort of the beginning of... I hadn't done LSD for years and years. And I was at this party, and someone pulled out some LSD, and they had drops of it on Pez lollies. And I went, fuck it, let's go. Like, let's do... So I had a couple. And it's funny with tripping is like... There's an initial stage where you can be tripping recreationally, where you're just doing it for fun and you're just doing it to like laugh with each other and have a moderate high. And then there's this gateway you can go through where, man, like even being with friends doesn't exist. Yeah, like you literally are taking yourself to another level.
Yeah.
And it got to like 10 o'clock at night, and one of the guys that was there just said, "Hey, I've got this bottle of like insane like liquid LSD that this scientist guy that I know in the States makes, and do you want some?" And I'm like, yes I do. And so he dropped it on my hand, just a little drop. I licked this stuff, and man, I had the most insane experience. Like I remember, like, first of all, I started looking around and I started noticing that everything physical, like all physical walls and solid things started to like break away into like digital binary code kind of. I could see the mapping of each thing through whatever molecular structure was there. Then I started seeing the beauty of numbers, the way numbers tie solids together through the way they're all kept together through patterns or whatever. It's obviously very hard to explain this stuff, but so everything started.
The walls are melting.
Yeah, basically, yes, subtitles. The walls are melting, and I'm seeing the digital imprint within all solid man-made things as they melt. And then I sort of walked away, and I'm like, whoa! And the whole world around me started to turn into a full matrix, and it was melting. And then I sat down, and I kind of sat down with my legs crossed, and then I looked over, and there was this, like, absolutely sitting there 100%, like often with LSD or something like that, things look a bit different or have a different glow, but you don't see things that aren't there. But I looked over, and there's this African dude sitting there 5 meters away from me with all this makeup on and some like this sort of feathery kind of thing in his hair, and he's just looking at me, and I'm like, whoa. And then I looked up, and one after the other, all these different people started flashing before my eyes, and they were all, I was aware that they were all my previous generations. People, one after the other, choo, 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 were just like flying past my eyes. And I looked back at him, and he's talking to me without moving his mouth. He was just using his it was just mind talking. I didn't question it. I could just hear what he was saying. And he was saying, these are all the people that have been between you and I was the first, and you're the current, and they are all the lives that connect the two of us.
The Indian dude.
Yeah, he was an African dude. And he was basically telling me that they were all my past lives, and he was my first life. And
right back.
Right back, yeah. So I'm
at the beginning of time.
Yeah. And then somehow he communicates to me that for me to step into my next stage of manhood, I have to be willing to accept this spirit bird into me. And I'm like, whoa, I don't know what this means. This is full on. I'm in some initiation. I'm tripping balls, right? And I'm like, I just remember thinking, okay, I need to man up. Like, this is really important. It's obviously really important because if he wants me to do it and he's my first ancestor, And so the second I thought to myself, okay, I'm ready, and I looked at him and I was like, I'm ready. I looked up and this huge bird just flies down from the heavens and hovers above me, about 5 meters above me, flapping its huge wings, and it slowly kind of forms into a similar shape. It turns around so it's got its back to me, and then it basically molds into a shape so that it's sitting kind of the same way I'm sitting. And my hands were down on my knees, so it brought its wings down, so it was sort of resting its wings in a position like a yogi kind of position, the way I was sitting, and had its back to me, and then it just slowly moved backwards and slowly down until it came to me and then just morphed into my body. And I felt this spirit bird just fill my body. And I was like, whoa! Like, just felt myself become this bird. Wow. Yeah, and then I turned and looked at the African guy, and he just gave me this nod of approval, just like,
that's your bird.
Yes, you are finally Birdman. Oh, it was crazy. And then I went through this whole period where I went.
It wasn't the stadium dragon.
That was a very different feeling. That was like, this is like, yeah. And then I go into the bedroom. I lost all sense of other people by now. Like, there's no one else that existed in the world. I went into the bedroom, and then I started myself turning into different people. Every 30 seconds I was a different person. I was like a 60-year-old gay white guy, like with mascara on still on his face, lying in bed after a big night out. And then I was suddenly a woman from like some century before Christ in some sort of Persian velvet sheets or whatever. It was crazy. It was just flipping, and like for a moment I'd be that person, and then I'd suddenly realise that, oh, that's not really me, and then it would flip to the next. And then I had this moment where I was like, I need to go to the toilet. But all of a sudden, everything melted away, and I couldn't see anything physical. All I could see was the light that was within solid things. So I knew that across from the bed there was a table with a bottle of water on it, and I was looking at it, and all I could see was the glowing light in the shapes that might represent those things. So I was like, that must be a bottle of water that's glowing like that, even though all I can see is this bright fluorescent light. That must be the glow of water when I'm in this state. And then I was looking at the table going, that must be a table. Anyway, I needed to go to the toilet, and I'm like, how the fuck do I get to the bathroom to go to the toilet? Like, I can't even see solid things anymore. I don't know how to walk anymore. I don't even know what my physical body is anymore. And I was just thinking about it, I'm like, well, if all I can see is molecular structures, and all I can see is the light within molecular structures, and they don't look solid anymore, maybe I can move through molecular structures to get to the bathroom. So I concentrated, and I started becoming the bed, and then I felt myself travel down through the bed into the floor, and all of a sudden I was within the molecular structure of the floor, and I became the floor, and then I started moving through the floor, thinking, okay, I've got to get to the bathroom. So I got to the bathroom wall, and then up through the wall, and then moved through the wall into the bathroom. But instead of stepping into the bathroom, I was still the bathroom wall. So then I expanded up and around, and I became the ceiling of the bathroom, the other walls of the bathroom, and next thing I knew, I was the bathroom. Like, I was no longer trying to get...
This is beyond the Matrix.
Beyond the Matrix. I was like, fuck, someone pressed the wrong button. I'm like literally 4 walls and a ceiling, and I'm looking down at the toilet, and I'm thinking, well, how am I going to piss into the toilet? How am I going to make it into the toilet? Like, I need to piss still. And I thought, well, the only way to know that I'm definitely pissing in the toilet is if my dick becomes the toilet. So then I literally felt my own dick morph down into the ceramic bowl of the toilet until I became the toilet. And then I was like, at that point, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure my dick is now a toilet. So I can finally let go. And I just went, ah. And the thing is, the only thing that I knew that told me that I was pissing in the toilet was the sound of water hitting water. Yeah. And there was, I wasn't.
Where was it? Where were you?
Well, this is the thing, like the next day, like, you know, flash to the next day when I sort of came back to my human senses, I was checking my jeans in the bed to see if I'd pissed myself, and I went into the bathroom, and the toilet seat was up, and I hadn't flushed the toilet, so I could see I'd pissed in the toilet. So I was like, oh, how the hell was I seeing all that by going to the bathroom?
So how long were you in this state?
That was a long trip. It was about 12 hours. Yeah, it was pretty full on.
So, and since that point, what have you been? You say the microdosing came from that experience, or?
Yeah, I was already microdosing actually when I did that.
So the microdosing came from what? From
listening to a lot of podcasts and reading a lot of books about all the new research that's coming out on psychedelics, how good they are for PTSD, for depression, for
right.
It's incredible, like how much more beneficial they are with one solid like hero's dose of mushrooms or LSD can allow someone with major depression to come back to a state of not depression.
Is that a good trip or a bad trip that gets you there?
Well, they say there's no such thing as a bad trip, and that's because they say if you go through a bad trip, you are literally going through things that you need to resolve and get through. But I guess like the big factor, if you're going to talk about this stuff, then you have to say, well, you should be in an environment where you're being cared for, where someone is there to guide you through it in case you start spinning out and going down a bad path. Yeah, but I guess it's all beneficial if it all allows you to bring up things and process things that you would never normally bring up and process.
But like, you know, your penis turning into a toilet bowl.
That was very important for me to process. That's the only way I got over that incident of falling off my bike at the age of 5.
Exactly.
Oh man!
No, I just wonder because I had an experience similar, you know, mind expanding experience once, and all I had was like these geometric kind of
patterns,
yeah, and just moving around, everything just moving in these geometric signs, and in the middle was this figure. It was
this is LSD or
LSD, yeah, and it was like a dragon of some sort, and in the end, I thought it was the dengue fever.
Oh, right.
You know, which I think I'd already had it once or twice. I'm not sure.
In the end, you thought because you were hallucinating, you thought you were back on dengue fever?
No, I thought I was communicating with
dengue actual dengue fever.
Yeah, which was somewhere inside my body.
Right, wow.
Or maybe in my mind, I don't know. Which, I don't know what benefit came from it, really, but it just seemed like...
It's interesting, because there's some pretty crazy stories of people that have done ayahuasca, and within the ayahuasca trip, they have gone into their body and found, located in their body, a black spot in their body, and they've had cancer or they've had something in their body that's been causing an illness, and on that trip they've managed to heal themselves of that illness.
What's ayahuasca?
Ayahuasca is DMT is DMT is something that is in most living things, and we have an enzyme in our stomachs that stops DMT from causing us to hallucinate. So DMT, when digested, we digest it all the time in lots of living things, and it has something in it that would cause us to hallucinate wildly, but for an enzyme in our stomach that stops that from happening. And so ayahuasca is a ritual that takes another part of a plant that stops the enzyme in the body from stopping that trip from happening. And you need to do it with a shaman who is very experienced in the exact levels and the right levels for you, and to guide you through the whole experience. But ayahuasca now consider it like an incredible learning, healing experience for a lot of people who take it, because it's not about recreational, and that's I think the biggest learning curve with psychedelics now is if you go into it as as a party drug or something, you get drunk and you take some psychedelics or whatever, you're not going to reap the benefits that come from the intention of doing it with.
No, the same with things like MDMA, and which in clinical conditions they're healing all kinds of problems, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Similar to what you were saying before.
Yeah, it was originally used for marriage counselling.
That's right. So anyway, that's all very enlightening, and I think I think we've just about come to the end of the show, because it's now 9 p.m.
Wow, we've smashed through. Why don't you get on that drug train?
Makes you want to go out. It's Saturday night. Anyway, good to talk to you, Athron.
Rock and roll. Good to be here.
Maybe I shouldn't mention it.
Good to be anywhere. That's Crathron for you.
Crathron. Thanks for joining the show, whoever's out there. We're going to send it back to some amazing electronic music. Hopefully you're going to have a big Saturday night wherever you are. This is DJ ST.
And Crathron.
Crathron doing his thing.
Feeling good about it.
There's some music here. Got some
Oh,
Saturday
pumped
night
up.
music pumping up here. We're in Canggu. It's any night in Canggu, we call this show. We'll go to some deep house. Why not? That's what we'd love to do.
Go deep. Get housey.